Hello, my name is Arthur, and in the last video we left off with this rather two-dimensional looking isometric tile in GIMP, and in this video we're going to give the tile some volume, shading, and look at how to draw the roads on. Now I've made a few of the tiles in advance to refine my process, and I've put some into Godot to get an idea while refining that process. And the ones in Godot are actually old copies, which I've learned how to make a little bit better. So we'll go with the new method. It's a bit of work, but it's kind of where things get a little bit more work. So it's more or less the way that's going to play out. So one of the things we're going to need to do is go into Image, configure the grid to be at 8 pixels. And 8 pixels is the height that we already set up in Godot for the tile. I've changed my colors around so that my height color is the foreground color. I'll just use the bucket tool to fill in this region, and the free select tool to cut out the height. We can just select way outside of the grid there. It won't make any difference. We'll cut that out. So that's the tile with height. We'll get rid of that selection. Now we're going to do some shading. Now with the shading, when we select angles like this, sometimes they don't quite work out the way that I would expect. What I've discovered is doing the shading is a little bit of extra work. So we're going to zoom in to this and have a look at what we're shooting for here. If we select too close to the green, what happens is the shading spills into the green for some reason, and I imagine it has to do with how we select on an angle. So we want to see a particular step pattern along this edge, which we don't quite have yet. And the step pattern looks like this. It'll be 2 pixels up, 2 pixels up, 2 pixels up. When we have that pattern along the edge, we can safely darken the edge without darkening the green. If we darken the green, we're just going to reintroduce the line that we got rid of in the first video, and we don't want to do that. So for shading, we're going to darken one side more. We're going to do this side around -80. And we want to remember the value that we do decide to use, because we want to use it consistently through a Godot project, because it represents the lighting. So we want the same light values to be on any of the objects we're making for that project. So with that done, we're going to copy that, Control C, Control V to paste it. We'll grab the Move tool and we'll slide it up by 1 pixel. Anchor that layer and repeat the process on the other edge. We'll zoom back a little bit to be able to see the whole selection. The lasso tool. For this process, it's an idea to create different layers. As an example, once I've shaded the 2 edges, I may wish to create a layer by copying the edges the same way as I did to get rid of the flashing, except copying the whole edge and then putting it as a layer that we can turn on and turn off at need. That can reduce the amount of work being done in the process by doing that. So when we see the proper step pattern, 2 pixels and up, 2 pixels up, we can put in our second brightness value. For this one, we're going to use -30. And that'll give us 3 different light values for 3 different faces. That's the way that shading works. We'll copy that one, paste it, use the Move tool to slide it up 1 pixel a little bit of trouble there. Just want to make sure that we're ending up in the right place. And that should be right there. We'll anchor that. Zoom out. The only thing left to do to this tile as an empty tile is to add some noise. So we'll use HSV noise and OK. Control A to select all, Control C to copy, Control Shift V to paste it as a new image. So now we've made a new image out of a copy of our working image. Now I already have a copy of that, so I'm not going to hold on to that. I'll just discard it. We'll go back to our working copy, use Control Z to undo, and we'll undo back to the unshaded three-dimensional tile. From this point we're ready to start drawing roads on, so we'll look at how that's done. First we'll use the color tool, the select by color tool, to select transparency, Control I to invert that selection, or select invert if your hotkeys don't match up with my Linux hotkeys. We'll reconfigure the grid. We want the grid measurement at 32 pixels. That'll give us all of the center points to be able to line our paths up with. Now, I've already done 2 corner roads, so we'll do a straight through road and have a look at how to draw that. So a straight through road would start at one corner, come to the center of the edge, and then down. And the reason it comes down is that represents the right angle that is supposed to exist on this edge. So anytime we come over one of these edges, we want to represent the right angle, which is actually, because it's a 45-degree angle. A 45-degree angle should be represented somewhere here, I believe. Well, actually, it's not a 45-degree angle. Huh. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the angle is. It might be 60-30, something like that. We'll have to figure out that angle for later, though, because it's going to be necessary to know that angle when we get into creating some game assets. So, with the path drawn, we need to select a pattern. I'm going to fill it with a rock pattern. I like to use the bucket fill tool to select patterns because I can choose different rock patterns or different wood patterns. That's the easiest way I know of. It made the path disappear, but it is still there, so don't worry about it. The path will remain. We'll stroke the path using a pattern at 30 pixels. So we stroke that, and that's how easy it is to get our pathway stroked onto our tile. Now from here, it's just repeating the process of shading the tile and putting some noise onto the tile. We'll come back in another video. I'm not going to demonstrate how to make all 16 tiles. In the next video, we'll demonstrate how to do the dead end and have a look at the tiles already loaded into Godot and look at making some other game assets, perhaps a wall asset or a tree. I haven't decided yet. So until the next video, take care.